I'm joined today by Nitya Vaz. She was born in India and had a truly multicultural upbringing with Indian, Thai, Filipino, Spanish, and French influences. She relocated to France 10 years ago when she was offered a music scholarship by the French government. She's an accomplished singer and pianist and is currently the deputy director of the Garden Academy in Paris and the head of music for all of their centres in France. Hi, Nitya.
Hi, Jane.
Thank you very much for joining me.
It's my pleasure.
Nitya, often one of the most difficult decisions for international families when relocating to France is deciding where to educate their children. They have the choice of following the French system, of course, and can also opt for an international education. As a foreigner in France, can you give us an insight into the French system?
So the French system is definitely different from coming from an expat background. It's very challenging, I would say. The first things that you noticed about the French system is that it is not generic. It is very different from most countries. There's the fact that you have to learn a new language in order to integrate yourself into the culture also plays a huge role. So I would say that coming from an international background, that it does take time and a bit of effort in order to integrate yourself into the French system. So it is definitely a very specialized system, I would say, because they like to really focus on specializing in certain domains. So it also can be a little bit squared, where they're just focused on one thing and they don't like to diversify themselves. But it is extremely specialized.
Would you say that it's possible to enter into the French system without speaking French?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you're moving into France, if you're coming as a foreigner into France, into the French system, it's absolutely possible because you're in immersion. So you have no choice. You have no choice but to learn the language. And when you go to the boulangerie, for instance, you have to know how to order your baguette early in the morning, or you need to know certain French words. So yes, absolutely, it's possible to integrate yourself, and this is only possible because of immersion.
Nitya, the Garden Academy was founded in 2016. What's the school's philosophy, and what do you think makes it stand out from other preschools?
So at the Garden Academy, we believe in positive learning and positive reinforcement. So that means the children are learning through play and hands-on experience on activities and in a no pressure environment. So everything is fun oriented. And that means they're learning English through immersion, through books, through words, books, songs, activities like dance, theater, and sensory. These are all aspects of education that is unique to the Garden Academy. I haven't yet come across another school that provides education in such a system, in such a manner. Our teachers are multilingual or bilingual, and everyone is essentially a native English speaker. This is also unique to the Garden Academy, as the children get a unique experience from native speakers. And this helps with them learning English in a much more comprehensive way, in a different culture altogether. Each child that comes to the garden, we treat them as unique and special. And each child that they learn at the academy through transdisciplinary actions. That means they're learning English through music. So they're learning songs through English songs through music. They're doing art They're doing sensory activities. There's English literacy classes. And because our teachers are predominantly American, Canadian, or British, they're also learning about different cultures just by being with their professors and their teachers. And we at the Garden Academy, we believe that it's not just about learning in an immersive environment, but that the children discover their own way of expression, and they get to use their creativity and also in that process discover themselves.
What are the benefits of an immersive learning environment, and how does that work if the children that join you don't know any English when they first arrive?
Okay, so the best way to learn a new language or culture is through immersion. This is a scientific, it's proven scientifically. A child's mind is capable of adapting very easily to situations. And so their minds are like sponges. And at a very young age, the child, if they're exposed to a new culture or a new language, their mind just takes in all the information. And you'll see very often that a child in the beginning, they're just big-eyed and listening, but listening really attentively. They might not speak in the very beginning because they're not understanding necessarily what's going on, but they're constantly learning. And they just grasp in the beginning the information, and their mind slowly starts to process. So when they see objects, like if you show them a football and you say ball, or if you show them bells and you say bells, they sort of associate the words with the object as well. And it's just a form of rapid learning that happens internally in the beginning. And then you see them speaking within 6 months, like it was their second language, without even realizing that this child or particular case had a problem just 6 months ago. So it's a scientifically proven point that immersion is the best way of educating a child, especially under 7 years of age.
Both of your parents were very fond of music and languages. How much did they influence your studies and your career choice, Nitya?
Music has been a huge part of my life as growing up, because, as you said, my parents loved music. My mom is a violinist, and my father, he pretty much picks up any instrument and is able to play it within 5 minutes, even if he hasn't learned it. Music has been the way that I've coped with many things in life, because my parents moved a lot. As you had mentioned in my introduction, that I have Filipino, Spanish, and Indian backgrounds. Music was predominantly the way that I integrated myself into a culture. So I would be exposed to a different song in a different language, and that would help me understand the new culture that I was being put into. And this was, again, through immersion. So it's a very big part of my life, and I'm very grateful to have that opportunity. And I think one of my main career decisions of becoming a musician was also because I had so much experience in learning new songs through different languages, that opera, in a sense, was just this dream where you can learn another language or learn a culture through another language. So through music. And that's basically one thing led to the next, and I ended up becoming an opera singer. So yeah.
So that's like another language that you're very comfortable in, isn't it?
Absolutely. Actually, when I started music, I started the piano at the age of 3. So it was even before I knew how to read and write, that I was learning how to read the piano manuscript. And that in itself is a different language. The fact that I was learning music in the beginning helped me greatly to learn other languages. And so I know how to write the Russian script. I know how to write the Hindi script as well, and read the Thai script, but apart from English. So it's music is how my brain developed and allowed me to be very easygoing with languages. And this is why today I speak 13 languages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. At the school, you use the Orff approach to musical education. Can you explain what that is exactly?
So the Orff approach is a method of teaching children about music, which engages their mind and their body uh, through a mixture of songs, instruments, dance, acting, and so on and so forth. Basically, it's a method that was created by a German whose name is Karl Orff, and it's a method that was created basically for young children, so from the ages of 3 to 5, as an introductory to music. This helps the children use body rhythms as well. So a typical instrument, the Orff program uses percussion instruments. So anything from glockenspiels to metallophones to xylophones are used. And then the children are allowed to experiment and use their creativity, basically. Say, supposing a teacher may choose a poem or a story to read in class. The students are then asked to participate by choosing different instruments that you set out in the classroom, which represent a character or a word in the story or poem that was selected for the class. And as the teacher reads the poem or the story, the students can add sound effects by playing these instruments that were selected.
So if there are any parents watching who are thinking about their young children starting off learning a musical instrument, what would you recommend as a first instrument? What might be something that's fairly easy to learn to play?
I would always say the piano. And this is because there's many, many benefits to the piano. You're learning both the treble clef as well as the bass clef. So you're learning how to play with both hands. You're learning the right hand and the left hand, which also helps in the motor skills of a young mind to be able to use both hands at the same time. The piano is like the bass instrument, where once you know the notes, once you know how to use hand coordinations and play both hands at the same time, and when you're reading as well, you're reading the bass clef and the treble clef together. I think that once you have the basis of piano down, if at any given point of time you want to learn the guitar or the violin or an oboe, for instance, the entire process of reading the notes just is more simplified because you have everything. The piano is a comprehensive instrument, and learning any other instrument after having learned the piano is just it's far simpler than if I was suppose I learned the guitar before and then I wanted to learn the piano. I would have more of an issue learning the instrument in that sense, rather than if I had learned the piano before and taken up the guitar as a second instrument.
Nitya, what do you love about your job?
Oh, great question. I love everything. I love everything about my job. I love working with the children. That's something I realized, that as a performer, you can learn and work with adults and share your emotions that you experience on stage with the audience. But there is nothing better than imparting your musical education or any kind of education to the next generation. The other aspect is meeting different types of students from different cultural backgrounds, being able to captivate their mind, just meeting different kinds of people, meeting different cultures, and imparting another culture altogether is what I love about my job. Yeah.
It sounds like a real sense of satisfaction that you have. So at the bottom of the screen, you have your website address. If anybody would like more information about the Academy, they can take a look there, and they will also find your contact details, so email address and phone number. Thank you so much for joining me today, Nitya. It's been really interesting talking to you.
Thank you, Jane. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.